what's up, YouTube? This is King Gio, and today I'm going to give you a little so how do you do pasteles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the pork roast. Which is what you call a pernil, a bump roast, right? You can do a pernil with this. If you're going to do it, I suggest that you season it, you cut it up, and you leave it in the oven for 4 or 5 hours, even more. If you have a grill in the back, I have a grill that is made out of brick, but it's a cool grill. And I leave mine there like for 5 or 6 hours, even 7 hours. I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I leave it there to 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And when that baby comes out, oh, it comes out so soft, and the meat is tender, and the flavor that has in it, oh, it's gorgeous. But I'm just cutting this because wifey is going to make some pasteles. And for guys and girls who are vegetarians, if you like pasteles, or if you ever tasted pasteles doesn't have to have meat. You can do pasteles. You can put inside the plantain. You can put whatever you want. You can put crabs. You can put fish. You can put whatever it is. If you're a vegan, you can put vegetables inside. It is just, you know, if you know how to do it right, it won't take away from the flavor of the pastel. But I'm just gonna cut this, and I'm just gonna cut it into pieces. So when the wife does make her pasteles, she has meat to use. We use meat, and you don't have to use. Hold on a minute. You don't have to use, per se, green plantains to make these. You can use yuca. You could use something else that, you know, that's going to, you know, that appeases you the most. I try to use the best knife that I possibly can because I'm gonna be cutting a lot. Apparently, we've been having different kinds of Jason knives around here. It's like real ridiculous, you know. My wife bought the other day one of those butcher knives, like a cleaver knife. Like, babe, it's not what I cut with. But this is going to have to do because this is a brand new knife, from my understanding, and I want to get this done as soon as possible. So as you can see, I'm going to show you. Here is the roast here. You see it, right? I'm not going to season it. I'm just going to cut it into pieces. So when she does do the pastel can, she can do it, and she can just put how many pieces there is. The good thing about the pastel is that you get to put as much meat as possible or as little meat as possible. See? It's all up to you. Like I said, you could do this also instead of using plantains, plátanos, that's as we speak it, you could use yuca. See, I'm cutting these pieces like this. The knife is pretty good, I have to say. I give the knife credit where credit is due. And that's it, and that's all you gotta do. You just take these little pieces and just cut them. And you can, guys, you can also see this is fat, so I take off the fat. We don't need the fat. You can also take this and make these into little sandwiches. You know, you don't have to make Cuban sandwiches out of this. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do with pork shoulders. This knife is pretty good, but it cuts in a weird. It cuts the meat weird. So I want to make them like into cube likes. Because you want your pastel to have that meat. If you're a meat lover, of course. Like I said, you could make this into a vegan pastel. If you're a meat lover, you want to be able to taste that pastel. You know, you want to taste that meat. So I try to put as much meat as possible. Right now it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm cutting pork shoulders up for you guys. You know, see, like this, like these are good size. Some people put them smaller than this, but this is a good size. And then once you do this, once you cut the pieces that you think you're gonna need for your pastel, and then you just do your pasteles, and you use, first after this, I'll end up seasoning it. You see? This is a good knife. See, this big piece, this is too big, so you have to cut this a little bit smaller because it's gonna take too much space in the pastel. And you wanna, I can cut that into 4 different pieces that could fit right in. Because you know, when you eat your pastel, you wanna make sure that it has a substantial amount of meat. It's not like, you know, it's not like when you buy a bag of potato chips, you buy a bag of potato chips and it's all air. You don't want that. You know, so you want to have a good portion of meat. Like I said, this doesn't have to be meat. It could be fish, it could be whatever you want it to be. And you season this at your liking, not the likings of others. They're like, oh, you know, it's your liking. Knife is pretty good, guys. I do recommend it. But then after a while, they get dull. You know, when you do pork shoulders like this and you want to do pernil, you know, what I do is I cut the pernil, the pork. I cut this pork. I cut this pork. I cut the pork, right? And what I do is I cut it in half, like right here. I'll show you. I cut it in half. I cut it in half. I cut it in half because a lot of people, what they like to do is they like to poke holes in it, and it really doesn't taste that good. There's a lot of parts that are left out, right? So I cut it in half, not all the way, you cut it in half, season that, make holes there, season those holes, cover it back. I cut it in half, then I cover it back up, do some holes on the top, season that, season the bottom. So this way, the whole entire pork shoulder has taste. Because sometimes you're going to do the outside, and even if you do the inside, some of the insides is going to be dry, and you don't want it to be dry. You know? Well, this is something that you guys can learn how to do. This is easy too. You got another big piece. You cut that piece in half. You're not gonna a pork shoulder this big. You're not gonna be able to do unless you're gonna do them by volume and you're gonna sell a lot. You're not gonna need that much meat, but you could go through the whole entire pork shoulder if you're gonna sell a lot. Or you're going to give away a lot. Or you're going to do it for a whole bunch of family members. And then you can use the whole entire pork shoulder. But normally, since my household is very small, this pork shoulder, it sacrifices itself for nothing. Because I'm not going to be able to use all this meat. Which I'll probably end up doing. I mean, that's not a bad idea. I could do something tonight with the rest of the meat. I can season it. And then tomorrow, put it up in the barbecue. Let that go in the barbecue. You know? Let that go in the barbecue. And this pork shoulder does have good meat. Very rare that you see them with good meat. More fat than anything else. More fat. Yes, you're going to see the video lopsided probably when you see this, but this is something that in Puerto Rico we eat a lot, especially when it comes to Christmas. A lot of people like eating pernil with ketchup, and I used to do that when I was a kid. But it doesn't taste the same. I like it more with a little bit more salt. So if someone ever gives you some pasteles, make sure that you put them in the water, and when you put them in the water, you season them with salt. The salt is at your discretion. If you put too much salt, that's gonna taste nasty. So I'd be careful how much salt you put. And then you let it run like for an hour. Okay, you let it run for an hour, and you take them out, right? And then you just cut the string off of it, and voila, and you have some rice with that. Oh, some rice with pasteles. I've eaten rice with pasteles and bacalao, codfish. That tastes good. See, I think probably another 2 minutes cutting these meats. It's gonna be suffice for the meat. I'll probably cut them more, cut a little bit more. Like, see, like pieces like this big is good. See, pieces like this big is good because the pastel is only maybe 3 inches long and maybe 2 inches wide. So you're not gonna have that much room. But you could stuff it. Don't get me wrong, you could stuff it. I like to stuff. I think when you eat a burrito, you don't want a burrito with just you want a burrito with meat. That's what makes a burrito. Some people are cheap with the meat. You know, see that something like this, I take off this fat here, right? And then I take it and I cut the half like this, leaving this piece out because you don't want that in your pastel. And some people ironically do pasteles. When they do pasteles, they put raisins in them. I don't put raisins in them. It's usually the meat, some garbanzos, which is called chickpeas, and that's it. You wrap it up, but trust me, guys, trust me, it tastes real good. Real good. I'm talking about this. Now let's talk about something about Puerto Rico as we're doing it. If you ever go to Puerto Rico, right, I advise you, don't stay in the San Juan area. San Juan is just not the thing to do. Everybody wants to do San Juan, but San Juan is so outdated. San Juan is so boring. I mean, go outside the island, go to different towns, see what different towns have to offer. I mean, you're not gonna see a nightlife, don't get me wrong, because that's not existent in Puerto Rico, unless you go to Santurce and you're young and you want to go to the plaza. But the plaza in Santurce is getting real bad, and that's what you have your young kids doing. They're smoking their cigarette, they're drinking their beer, you know, they're having a good time. For the most part, you don't get in trouble, but sometimes you do because you have, you know what, some douchebag. But when you go, like if you want to see a great sunset, go to Arecibo. Arecibo at nighttime when the sun is coming up or the sun is going down, the sunset, oh, it is one of the best that I've ever seen in my life. You go to Mayagüez and there's a beach called Playa Sucia, dirty beach, but it's not dirty at all. That's an amazing beach. You go to the beach in Ay Bonito, oh, another beach that looks like a spoon. And when you come out of it, there's a cave right next to it. That is gorgeous. You go to Fajardo, you go to Luquillo. You got those beaches. You got beaches in Mayagüez. You know, if you want to go surfing, then I suggest you go to Ay Bonito and Dorado, because that's where the waves are basically at for surfing. And then you can go to the illuminescent light in Luquillo. It's the only fluorescent luminescent lights in the world. You can go to Vieques. If you want a good beach with solid blue, go to Culebras. You have to go to Culebras, you have to go to a town called Luquillo, get your ticket there. And I suggest you get your ticket in advance because people tend to go there early and then the tickets are gone. You know, this is how antiquated Puerto Rico is. The United States, we have a bridge that goes from the tip of Miami to Key West, right? Puerto Rico, I'm assuming, can do the same thing from the main island to one port of the main island, which is you could do it probably perhaps. Well, I could be wrong. Maybe they haven't done it because whatever reason, it's not ecological. I don't know. But you would think that instead of paying for all these boats, why don't you just build a bridge and the people can drive it there? Plain and simple. I'm not sure they haven't done that because it could be hurricanes and then that'll destroy the bridge and there'll be more money. I don't know. But that would be the logical thing to do. And yes, we get hurricanes, but hurricanes don't hit us every year. You know? Damn, I like this knife. You know? So yeah, I like the kitchen because the kitchen is like my zen. I've always liked the kitchen. My mom taught me how to cook. And then I work in restaurants. I took out to some chefs. And I like doing different things, you know. I like to please people. Especially when you got a girl and you're like, she should cook. Like, oh, that man can cook. Now I don't got to cook. They say best chefs in the world are men. I don't know if that's true because my mom used to cook good. But being that my stepdad is a diabetic, so the condiment consumption is kind of rationed. My dad can't take too much because he's diabetic, which is cool. I can live with that. But she used to make some rice and beans. Oh man, and then some spaghetti. Because she didn't make spaghetti Italian style. She used spaghetti. She put the ground meat inside, and then put the sauce. Just let it ride. And then poor man's food. We used to get white rice with corned beef. That tastes good. You gotta do everything you gotta do to survive, bro. Especially when you have a big family. You know, Puerto Ricans are known to have big families. It's in their culture, I guess. My cousin has like 10 kids. He's like, I want more. Like, why? You're like 55 years old. What are you gonna, when they turn 18, what are you gonna give them? And this a limit for you to have? I mean, that's my thought. A limit to when you have kids. Because you be 60 years old, you're having a kid. The kid turns 18, you're 78. You're not gonna be able to enjoy your life with your kid. You probably won't even be able to enjoy your life with your grandchildren. That's what you want your kids to enjoy, for you to enjoy them and enjoy the kids, the grandkids. Like Julio Iglesias. He had a kid like around the age of 80. That's ridiculous. That's just my thought. You think? These sizes is good. And this only cost me $16. But if you buy this and you make pasteles and you sell them $2 a piece, you make good money. It's a process because then you gotta take the green plantains and you gotta shake them and then you gotta open them up. I mean, it is a process. It's time consuming, but at the end you will see that it's worth it because the taste that comes out of these little things are so delicious. And then if you mix them up, they're so great. I can eat all these every day, but like I said, it's time consuming. In Puerto Rico, they sell you 2 for $2, which isn't that bad. Here in the United States, if you could sell them here where I live at, because here is basically mostly white people that don't know anything about pasteles, and once they taste this, you could sell them for $3. 2 for $3, because they come and you make 2 of them and then you wrap them into 1. That's the way you do it. That's the best way to do it. You don't do them individually. No, you wrap them. You do 2. You put 1 on top of the other one. Then you take the paper and you wrap them into 1. Then you put them in a pot. Make them boil. Leave it there. I usually leave it there like for an hour because you want both sides to cook. Then you take them out. If you want ketchup, you use ketchup. But if not, just eat as is. You put a little rice on it. Eat it with rice. If you haven't if you guys have eaten pasteles with other than rice, please let me know on your comments below. I want to see what other ways that people have eaten pasteles before, because it's interesting. And you know, usually you see with rice. And guys, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. I need to get the King Geo channel up, man. I need you guys' support, because I'm looking to expand, and you know, I need your support for that. I see a lot of people with some bad videos, and they got like millions of views. When I say bad, if you see them, you say bad. And that's how YouTube gets there. That's how we YouTubers are content creators. That's how we generate the income. We generate the income. We generate the income. Okay.
Yo pensé que tú estabas en el cuarto de Lucho.
Dame la silla, yo me siento en otra silla.
¿Eh?
Dame la silla.
Amarra esta que es mía.
And the way that we get our income is by you guys. You guys subscribe. The subscription is only for let's say the subscription is only to meet the requirements, but it helps out because the more subscribers you have, you know, you can get more views.
No.
So, you know, the way it works is that you subscribe to my channel, you look at my videos for 2 or 3 minutes, and the algorithm starts looking in. So being that I monetize, and then they'll throw in a commercial into my YouTube. And then if that person or a person sees that commercial and clicks on that commercial, and they buy something from that commercial, from what my understanding is that you get a percentage of that. If you stay on the channel and you stay for 2 or 3 minutes, that generates revenue. And most of my revenues, guys, when I get the money, I usually give them out to you guys anyway, because my revenue is only $100. $100. The most I've gotten paid was $170 for a month. Dime. ¿Qué? No. It's only $170 that I make, which I should be making more. You know, like I said, most of my revenue goes to you guys. I do this for you guys. When I do my giveaways, it's for you guys. All right. So, yeah, this piece right here is too big. When my wife does the process of making them, I will record that too, so you can see. But this is just an invitation to my kitchen, so you can see how they're doing. I think this should be enough meat. You don't want to overdo them, because when you overdo them, then you're gonna have meat to spare, and if you don't want to throw away your meat. You know, you pay $16 for it. There's a lot of starving people out there in the world, and I don't want to be throwing away meat, knowing that someone could be eating it. You know, I don't want that. What I'm going to end up doing is perhaps cutting more a little bit here. But this knife is pretty good, guys. I like this knife. But with this knife, it'll probably get dull in the next cut. If you guys have a knife sharpener that you can recommend, please do so. Or if you have a knife that you recommend that doesn't go dull quickly, please tell me. Because I like to, you know, when I dive into the meat, I like to slice it thin or whatever. I like it to go through. I don't want to be hassling. Let's see. This is a good piece. Okay. All right, so we'll just keep on going. There we go. There we go. I did more. Bella. I did most of them. Let me just turn it around. You see? I did most of the pork. Okay. This piece right here, this skin, right? If you're going to do pernil in the oven, I suggest you leave it for a long time, because that piece right there, I take it out, and that piece right there makes some good pork rinds. Yes, it does make some good pork rinds. Okay, now I'm gonna take off the skin. You guys can tell me what is your favorite. Let me ask you guys a question. What is your favorite Spanish food? It doesn't have to be Puerto Rican, but what is your favorite Spanish food? Because I like to cook, so maybe if you guys give me something that's good, I'll cook it and I show it on my YouTube. Then we can cook it together. It doesn't matter from what country. And I'm saying Spanish because I'm doing Spanish here, but let's even do it broader. Any cooking from any country. It doesn't matter if it's Spanish. I don't care if it's from Asia. I don't care if it's from Africa, Israel, Iraq. I don't care from where it's at. Japan. Show me a video or tell me, hey, King Gio, this is what I like to do. If you can't do a video, just tell me and just put down the ingredients and how long I should leave it, and then I would do it. It's obviously going to be for the first time anyway, so if it tastes good, amen. If it doesn't taste good, hey, I tried. You know? Give us some sort of interaction, because, you know, a lot of things, a lot of people with Spanish food, we're very, though we're Spanish, but culturally we are very, very different, right? So Mexicans like to eat their food spicy. I don't. They put a lot of spicy ingredients. I don't. Some Puerto Ricans do like spicy food, but it's very rare. You know, and then you go to, let's say, Mexico, then you go to down Nicaragua, you go to Panama, or you go to Ecuador. Their food selection is totally, totally different than what it is from Mexico. You know, so our food palates taste, I mean, it changes. You know, you think I can say maybe that we have something in common is Puerto Rico is us, Puerto Ricans with the Dominican Republic. Like we eat some of the same food. You know, like mofongo and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, they have their own specialty. And they like to eat eggs with salami. That's not my cup of tea. I eat salami with not with eggs. But like I said, to each his own. I won't have to use it anymore. See, now you take this. This is the back, and you just take it. This piece right here, which is the meat part, I'm gonna take this out because I know my wife is gonna want. So what I'll do is, I'll take this piece, leave it in the fridge, or I can take it later and put it in the back of my barbecue and make pork rinds. See? Because this one, it tastes crunchy. It tastes real good. It really does. It really does. And then you season it at your taste. I usually put salt, pepper, not pepper. I put salt. I put soy sauce. Soy sauce gives it a good taste. You could put, if you wanted to get a little salty taste, you could put some butter in it. I don't do that. I've seen people do it. The condiments, you know, you could put whatever it's in your palate. That's what matters. When it comes to food, period. It's your palate. So I think that's enough for this. You see what she wants to do with that. And then it leaves me, you see, with all the meat that I took out from one side, it still leaves me with this side of the meat. So I can either pour more here, which I think that this is enough. It's more than enough. And cut this. And then this you could fry if you want to. You could fry the rest in pieces and make yourself a good sandwich. Make yourself a good, nice sandwich. Oh, I'm talking about Puerto Rico. So if you go to Puerto Rico, if you want to eat good Puerto Rican food, you know, you go to, there's a place, let me see, there's a place called El Combate. That's by Caguas, Combate, C-O-M-B-A-T-E. And there, the food is good. You got rice, you got beans, you got pernil, morcilla, if you're into morcillas, you got that. You got dancing. You get your little groove on there in Combate. It's a good family-oriented place. And if you go to my hometown, it's in Las Piedras, L-A-S-P-I-E-D-E-R-A-S. There's a place called El Rancho, I think. That's new. That's been there like 4 years. And they sell some good food and good prices. And the portions of their food is pretty big. You can't. That's why I tell you, don't stay just in San Juan. Because when you stay in San Juan, you're limiting yourself to eating other food. The restaurants, from what they eat, they eat just local food or from whatever. It's an Italian restaurant, so they're going to sell you Italian food. Blah, blah, blah. You want to go outside the skirt. You want to go out and go to Caguas. You go to Carretera number 1. And in Caguas, you see a lot of people selling food outside. And drums, you know, they make bacalao, which is codfish, alcapurria, you know, all that kind of stuff, which is pretty good. You know, if you take a road to go to Canóvanas, like going to the racetrack, and you take the old road, not from Luquillo, you do from Luquillo, you take the old road, like they just say you're going from San Juan, you take the old road from San Juan, you go through Humacao, and you go into Canóvanas. You take the old road there, or you're going through Juncos, you take the old road, you'll be seeing people cooking outside also in the street, which is a good thing. Because you get to meet locals and you eat local food. You know, you're not gonna get authentic food going into a restaurant. You're not gonna go to Puerto Rico to go to an Italian restaurant. I know I don't. You know, you go to different places. There's a place in my hometown, La Piedra, that they sell popsicles. They like popsicles, but they're called limbers. Oh, they taste good. It's in my hometown in La Piedra, L-A-S space P-I-E-D-R-S. They sell some delicious limbers, like $1.40, but it comes in a cup. It's made with condensed milk or whatever. They got a Hershey limber. They got all kinds of limber. If you're ever down there, if you want to go down there, if you're in Puerto Rico and you don't know where it's at, you can always leave me. You can always write to me and say, hey, King Gio, where is it at? And I will tell you exactly where it's at. And when you go down there, you say, yo, your cousin King Gio sent me down here. Tell him he said that I told you, give him a freebie up. Or jack him up. Not jack him up, stab him up with a limber. You know. And if you like good coffee, go to Yauco. Yauco got the best coffee there is because coffee beans come from Yauco. Now, each part of Puerto Rico has its own history. In my hometown, you're not going to get history that's that because it has a history, but I don't know it. But it has, you know, they do have some things to do. They have a movie theater in La Piedra if you want to go to the movies, go in a quiet place. The movies out there, I don't know how much it is now, but it was before when I left, it was like $5.50. So not that bad. The popcorn is not the same because they don't have, maybe they changed it now, but when I was there in 2020, 2019, there was no, the popcorn don't have any butter. But you have yourself a good time. You know. Also, I suggest, also as a new, not new, But so for you guys who go to Puerto Rico for the first time, if you go into a red light, the law states that from 12 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock a.m., you could eat the red light. You stop, and then you go. Make sure you look both ways, and you keep on going. And for the simple reason is that, because the carjacking. They don't want you to get carjacked. So it is legal after 12 o'clock midnight to go through a red light, but you have to come to a complete stop. You just don't eat the red light. You have to come to a complete stop. This I'm almost done. ¿Es suficiente carne?
Claro, no sé.
Wifey said that's enough meat. And then this, what I'm going to do with this is, yep, I'm going to season this, wrap it up in aluminum foil, and you leave it in the fridge for a day. This it can absorb all the flavors. You can put onions, you can put ginger. When you make the holes, you put the bulbs in it, and then you wrap it up in aluminum foil and leave it there like for a good, I would say I leave it there for a good 6 hours. You can leave it there for 2 hours. It's still going to come out soft. But the longer you leave it, the more soft the meat becomes, and the more absorbent the food, the condiments that you put in, you can feel it. That's what I'm doing. I'm seasoning this up, and then when my wife does the pasteles, I'll record her and show you guys how it's done. So if you want to, you can do it yourself. Like I said, it's time consuming, but at the end, it's well worth it. Don't forget to subscribe.